Good morning. What are you looking for, eh? What are you looking for? There you go. That the boy. What you got this morning? Little dude? So, this isn't Providence. He's not bothered about me because he's got his back to me. He's having a good feed. What you got? Hey? Yeah. So, some of you may think that, oh no, not this squirrel videos again. This is a bit mundane. Come on, tell us some stuff. Like you used to, Aaron. You know, are you going to do one of your rants again? Or, you know, tell us some philosophy. Tell us something that we can learn from and grow from. But what you find is, when you get more spiritually mature, that things get more and more simple. And to elaborate on anything seems to be superfluous. And so, many years ago, I always fantasized about having this secret garden which I could go to, where the animals would all be familiar with me and they wouldn't be afraid, and it'd be very idyllic. And I'd listen to the birds and I'd observe and I'd learn and I'd feel connected. And so every morning I get up pretty well at dawn and I come out into the garden and I watch as the animals wake up and they come and feed and they continue their acquaintance with me. And every day I learn something. This morning I was up before dawn and I started to listen to a video on the emerald tablets, and they were speaking about Thoth, Trismegistus, as per the Egyptians. And they were saying that in the Book of the Dead there is information which pertains to the acquisition of knowledge of animals. And that's why the Egyptians depicted animals, hybrids, so much in their depictions of symbology and life, because they were very, very connected with the natural world, the sun and the moon and the elements and all these things, and they watched animals very closely and carefully, and they gleaned a lot of wisdom from animals, and they knew that many of the attributes to animals we too also exhibited. And so that's why then they conjoined them with the human being in their depictions. And so when we look at the emerald tablets, Kabbalion and Kabbalah and all these different sorts of, got a lot of activity now, where squirrels are coming down. All these ancient scriptures, we can see that it's all about our connection with the universe. And so we look at the sun being the father, we look at the moon being the mother, we look at the air in between being the womb, and out of the womb comes all things. Out of the womb comes a man. And so this is why we get the Hermes Trismegistan saying, or Thothian, because Thoth was the Egyptian name and Trismegistus was the Greek name. And so out of all those ancient scriptures, we find our place in between the as above and so below. Somewhere in between we are lurking, and we exhibit all facets. We exhibit the spiritual, the light, and then we exhibit the dark and the carnal, the flesh orientated. And so we find that if we come out every day early, and this is why all of these gurus, they'll all meditate at dawn, because it's a very special part of the day when the sun is rising again, when the masculine is rising and blessing. And now I'm being blessed by the sun, because it's been rainy right up until about 10 minutes ago, and now the sun is tentatively breaking through the clouds, and the birds are all singing. The raindrops are dripping from the trees onto the leaves, and the animals all around, and they're feeding. And hello. What are you doing? Hey? Now then, I don't know whether you know that I've got a pocket of goodies. Now, isn't that a wonderful thing? You know, he's just out there, he's just doing his own thing. And, hey, Prof, come up here. Prof. Oh, what you got? What you got? Hey? Or do you want to go down there? And so, they're all about, there's food down there, there's food over there, he knows that. But he sees me, and he wants to come and have a little bit of a tittle now and again, and keep acquainted. But also, of course, he's never sure whether that, you know, I could just have something. And as it happens, you know, I've got a pocket of these, because they all have an expectancy from me now. And they'll sit on these fences and they'll just look. And, you know, they'll have a bit of a wag in the tail, a bit like a dog, you know, when it's tilting their head. It's kind of like, have you got anything? I'm like, sure I have. And so, on occasion, there's one of them that actually takes one out of my hand, which is a beautiful thing. And so, what I'm saying here is, people, I mean, to have a connection with the natural world, to have a connection with all things living, and there's whole new levels that we can get involved with all things natural. And, you know, learning more and more about these things and getting deeper and deeper into ancient mysticism, what we find is that if we find a peaceful spot, and if our minds are peaceful and they are not contained and imprisoned by the modern abstractions, then we too can enter into that ancient Gnosticism, because it is all within us. All that is above is below. And all that is in between is within us also. We don't necessarily have to read endlessly to learn this stuff, because the vast majority of the stuff I've learnt in my life has came to me via my meditations, whether they are closed-eyed or whether they are open-eyed in the natural world, by just observing and being with and feeling the natural world. And so all things will come to us, and we'll have the greatest and deepest and most profound of insights that you can't glean from books. You can get the knowledge from books, but it doesn't mean anything unless you couple it with your own intuition, with your own deep knowing. So I was speaking to Mr. Nobody last night, and I'm saying, look, I'm just listening to this video, and this video, it says one thing, and it was a deep discussion on the nature of Kabbalah, Gnosticism, mysticism, and the ancients who are ruling the world, you know, in relation to those people that we can't mention. And there was an excerpt from this very well studied woman, and she says, look, if you know one thing, then you will know all things. And this one thing is that if you are of a victim mentality, then you will never be free. And this carries over through many, many facets of life. Wherever you project fear onto, if you project fear onto the exterior, and if you carry fear in the interior, then of course you'll never be free. And why aren't you free? Because you're still living like a mortal, when in actual fact we are not. We are and we are not. It's not the end. It's not the be-all and the end. Being mortal, we are as above and below, and all things in between. And when we realise that, when we realise that we are infinite consciousness, then there is no reason why we would carry any carnal fear with us. You see, this is the thing that the Western world has pushed upon us via these bastardizations of ancient religions. And when we look at the Christian religion in particular, we see that it's about suffering, and, you know, the human beings, we did the original sin, and now we're sinners, and the only way of redeeming ourselves is to give ourselves up and believe, and pray, and bow down to, and all that, which is all bollocks. Every single bit of it is all bollocks, because we are it. We are the most powerful, we are the most glorious, we are the most wonderful and intelligent, and we don't need any third parties to go through. They are telling us that there's a third party that we need to go through to exercise their control over us, to keep us in fear, like it said in the Old Testament, that we must fear God, fear God, fear God. Ah! We are God. And there's nothing to fear, save fear itself. So coming out here each morning, and all of a sudden, I'm filled with inspiration. And you'll be aware that the vast majority of my videos, forever, they've been in the realm of nature, because that is where I get the greatest inspiration. I'm not talking to you on a computer and showing you graphics and this and that. That isn't the way. If you want to know the way, ladies and gentlemen, you have to immerse yourself in the way. And then you just stand and you look and you observe at the tiniest things. And then you'll notice more and more and more and more and more. And you'll go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. Until in the end, you find yourself in the mind of God. Because that's what we are. That's what we derive out of. And anything else is a perversion. And so it was Rumi who said that the language of God is silence, and anything else is... what was the right word he used? Fake. Anything else is fake. Anything else is delusion. The language of God is silence. And then when we are silent, we enter into that realm. And in my book I speak about the language of God being intuition, because when our minds are settled, our intuition kicks in, and it is via our intuition that the cosmos, God, will speak to us. And then we will be told all things. And it's an incredible thing how we can know all things by just being silent. Just observing our thoughts and how we feel in the natural world, because we aren't separate from that. And when we realize our oneness, when we become one, then that's when we can observe the oneness. And then we don't need books, we don't need videos, we don't need preachers, we don't need anybody to show us the way. We find the way ourselves. And so therefore it becomes more simple, doesn't it? Now, because it's springtime and there's lots of things to eat, the animals are not starving, of course. And so the squirrels have had a couple of nuts and they've gone about their business now to maintain a stable diet, a balanced diet. In the wintertime, when there's nothing around, then they'll get their fill on whatever I give. But, you know, that's not entirely healthy. And so now they've gone up into the canopy, and they go quite a far, and I don't know where they go, but they've got their places where they feed, and I'd like to see them feeding. Well, you know, for instance, there's a rose bush here of a sort, and I've seen them feeding on these roses, so they will eat those. They will eat all the buds coming from the trees, and apparently squirrels will eat bugs. And it is said that they'll eat, you know, chicks and birds' eggs. But I got a bird's egg yesterday, and it was from this blackbird's nest. Some of you remember the video last week whereby I found this blackbird's nest, and I said, oh, I hope I haven't disturbed the female. And so I kept visiting the nest for 3 or 4 days after, and it was empty and there was no activity. And then on the 4th day, there was an egg in there one morning when I went, and I felt the egg and it was stone cold. And I'm like, well, there was no activity there for about 4 days since I disturbed the nest. Since the mother, the female, saw that her breeding ground was compromised. And, what do you want? Hey, this one. Hey, this is my boy. He's my boy. Hey, what you got? You're all soaking wet, aren't you? Right then, he goes up there. He's gone up there to eat it, but whenever there's another one around, they always divert and they won't go near because there's going to be trouble. They don't share food, and so this is why whenever we see them on their feeding stations and one is creeping up, one's already in there, well, they'll never try and eat from the same place. They'll always bolt, and they won't fight. I've never seen them fight. They're just in a state of avoidance from each other. So that's Providence now, and he's got a nut in his mouth, and he's seen a cat. And that's what that noise is. Now. There was another one pursuing him, going nearer and nearer and nearer, trying to grab the nut out of his mouth. So Providence is bolting all over the canopy with his nut in his mouth, and he's looking around. Can't you get no fucking peace around here? Where can a fucking man just have his breakfast in peace? No, you can't. And that's why I have to put these nuts on different stations, so they go and they get their own fill without chasing, you know, Providence and trying to rob his breakfast. And so observing him, entering into squirrel world, I can see that, you know, he has this world, and it's a world which is on red alert, but it's not a world that causes them anxiety. It's just like wildebeest on the African plains. They are alert with their eyes and their ears for predators because they're born into that. That's part of the course. But they don't spend 24 hours a day worrying about when the hyenas are coming or when the tigers or lions are coming. You know, and this is why Robert Sapolsky, he wrote this book, something like why zebras don't get stress or don't get heart attacks, you know, from stress, because they only ever get in a state of anxiety when danger is immediate, and as soon as the danger's gone, as soon as they've stopped being chased, then you'll see that the animals, they revert back again to grazing. And so they can't be anxious if they're eating, you see. And so therefore they turn it off as soon as the threat's gone. They turn the anxiety off. But we humans, we don't do that. We keep the anxiety on a constant drip. The cortisol is dripping constantly, and that's why the vast majority of us are anxious. We don't know how to turn it off. But how you turn it off is by realising that there is very little threats that are really going to be compromising us in any serious way. You know, people will worry about this and they'll worry about that and they'll worry about the water bill and in the fucking, you know, really? And why is she worrying about the bills that's going to be coming in a couple of weeks and, you know, have you got enough money for it? Oh, are they going to turn me off? Or isn't it ridiculous? Whilst we're doing that, we are letting our world pass us by. We're letting our life pass us by. We are losing touch with our power. And so many years ago, I discerned that, look, I live in a first world country, and there is no way ever am I going to be left to starve. It's not possible. And even if I was on the street and I'm sitting in the doorway, you look at all these people, they ain't starving. They've got more money than, you know, they need. And they've always got enough money to feed a dog as well, haven't they? And so, even in that scenario, we would never starve. And so why would we need to worry about that? And so what I did is, on one occasion when I came back from living in Bulgaria, I thought, well, I'll spend a couple of weeks in London and I'll do a little bit of a test. I wanted to discover what it's like to be a homeless person. So I started actually to sleep in doorways, on cardboard boxes, and in the freezing cold winter, and I laid there all through the night laughing at the irony of it, because it wasn't necessary. Albeit I never had any money. I came back and I was broke, and I was, trying to sign on for benefit, but they told me because I'd been out of the country that I couldn't get it, for 3 months. And so I thought, well, because I've got no money now, let's see what happens. So I made these videos down and out in London, and I found out where the food soup kitchens were, and where the food charities were, and I was eating salmon sandwiches and big bowls of gruel for 50 pence a sitting, and I could go to food banks and I could get big bags of shopping and things like that, with tins and all this sort of stuff that you could cook, but I couldn't cook. So, I could eat the things I could, eat readily. But I discovered there's no reason why we should ever be in fear of starving, because we would never be in fear. It's never going to happen. And, living in Africa for 3 years, I never saw anybody remotely starving. And these people, they live from day to day, and they're always looking for the next dollar, but they were never emaciated, they were never super thin and bordering death. They were all very vital and happy. So they'd found a way, you see, and the way is by just relaxing, because they go, well, look, like it says in the Bible, it says that, look, God provides for the birds and the animals and all creatures that crawl and fly and this, that and the other, and you are his children. So how much more is he going to provide for you when he provides for the whole of life on earth? So you think he's not going to provide for you? And so walking around in suburbia, very hungry on occasions, wondering where my next meal was coming from, then I would be presented with like a sandwich wrapped in tinfoil, placed on the top of a full rubbish bin in a park. And I'm like, well, how did that get there? Evidently somebody made a packed lunch, and they decided that they're going to have McDonald's instead, and then they got this cheese sandwich and they just threw it on the top of the bin. So I saw this, like, it's 2 slices of bread with cheese inside, after I opened it up, but I saw the shape of it and I knew it to be a sandwich, and I went, well, there you go, that's Providence. Providence supplied that for me. And so I looked at that sandwich, and my mouth began to salivate, and I was on the verge of eating that. But then I thought to myself, well, if I eat that, when I'm comfortable with eating out of a trash can, because I can't manifest anything greater than that, well, there's only probably one way to go, and that's further down. Will I be eating from the floor? Will I be eating half eaten burgers out of the bin from McDonald's and all sorts of things? So I thought, I'm going to pass on that, and I'm going to head for something else. And then, lo and behold, somehow I contacted a friend contacted me, and then, he knew my situation, and all of a sudden gave me 50 quid. And so it's kind of like, then I was eating in a proper pub meal, and, and so we decide at what level we want to exist on, people. And we see these people in doorways, and we ask ourselves, is it necessary in this day and age, in suburbia, in a first world country, to sit in a doorway? Of course it isn't. It's a choice. So they make a choice. And then they sit there with a paper cup, got a change, mate. I've spoken to loads of them. I'm like, what the fuck are you on? We do actually have a welfare system. Yeah, well, they won't give me any money. No, they will give you money, mate, Yeah, well, they'll never give me any. Oh, well, obviously you didn't try very hard then, did you? Sometimes you got to try a little bit harder. And that's how it is. But, okay, so I'm standing here, and you know, I'm in the natural world, and all the doves, the white doves, they're waiting on the roof because they won't come down and feed. They're much more shy than the other birds. They won't come down and feed even though it's there. They've got to have me completely gone. So they're waiting for their breakfast. And normally they will get their breakfast from the old lady's windowsill, because she puts out the sunflower seeds each morning, but some morning she doesn't get up that early, and so they're all hanging around because they've, you know, got some sort of dependency on her now. And this is the thing, when you feed animals regular, they'll take the easy route and they'll become dependent. And so I leave my feeding kind of sporadically. I don't always feed them at dawn, and you know, sometimes I can come out at 11 o'clock because I want for them to not be dependent and to go looking for food in other realms. And then when I come out, and Providence, you know, may be here, may not be. If he is here, then he's not that hungry, because he'll still eat the nuts, but he'll eat one or two because he likes to taste them, and he can't get walnuts up in the trees, you know. But he's not starving. And so, you know, he took one peanut, and I've still got a poggy full. In the winter time, he'll be back until they're all gone. But you know, so there's other stuff going on, and the other squirrels, they've gone now about their business. And oh, there's one here. Is that my boy? Who's that? Who's that? No, that's not Prog. But like I say, to be in this vicinity and then to have a wild animal come down and jump on me and come and greet me and stand around for a couple of minutes, 10 minutes sometimes, and then just go about his business, it's a beautiful thing. And it gives me a higher and a greater connection with, you know, living things, and the birds are all around me, and they know me, and what's that? Yeah, it's fascinating. So there's 24 varieties of bird that I've seen in this small garden. And so I think I opened this video saying many years ago I wanted to find this secret garden, and then it kind of like, it dawned on me, well, this is it. You see, our secret garden is wherever you consider that to be. And so, because this is where I live, and when I get up at dawn, then there's no traffic, of course, and as we go towards the summer, then dawn is at 4 a.m. and traffic won't even start until about 6, and so I've got 2 hours of bliss when all the birds are singing, all the squirrels are out, but there's no humans about. So that's my secret garden. That's the window of opportunity, and it's a wonderful thing. And so, you know, we can look for the ideal manifestation, and we can go, oh, this is just not my secret garden in this, you know, crappy little apartment block, you know, in this noisy village and this and the other, but it could be a whole lot worse. And this is a beautiful little oasis. Listen to the birds all around. You know, if I go out, when I go out foraging in the woods and in the fields, I barely see a bird, barely hear a bird. Why? Because there's not a lot going on out there. You know, whereas in suburbia, you've got all this stuff. You've got peanuts, you've got walnuts, you've got almonds, you know, you've got sunflowers. Wow, you've got bread, you've got cake, you've got all the sorts of things that other people give them. They can't get that shit out there. What can they get out there? Beetle or an ant, all that ain't fucking cutting it. And so, therefore, we've got all this stuff going on. And we've got water sources. And so it's I don't know, it's much more exciting for them. There's a whole lot more life, wildlife in villages than there is out there in the fields and in the woods. You know, when I go into a wood, There's barely any birds there, particularly when I go up, like my favourite Emerald City, and I've got those beautiful 500-year-old trees. Well, the only birds I've ever seen on those particular oaks is ravens or jackdaws. They nest in them, and you know, they're feeding on something around there. Then when we go into the pine woods, there's jays, and then there's tree creepers and woodpeckers, but you know, they're very, very select. Here, well, there's loads of stuff. And just over this wall into this graveyard, I can find green woodpeckers, along with, you know, lots more variety of bird. Probably, you know, just around this half a mile region, I can find 50 species of bird. When I go out into the woods, I'll find 5. So that's the difference, people. So you see, these suburban regions, they serve a purpose for wildlife. They live. What you seen? You seen Putty Cat? I thought I saw a Putty Cat. That blackbird up in the tree, of course, that's super iconic for British countryside and probably lots of European countries. The wonderful song of the blackbird. Enchanting. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to continue to hang around here because it's all going on now, isn't it? Loads of birds around here. And so I'll just see if Providence wants to come back for another nut and a bit of a tickle. And then I'll continue about my day.